Hi, folks. Thanks for joining in tonight's webinar. Tonight, we're going to go back to basics and we're going to go through the catalog page by page and talk about products individually. Oh, it even makes the cute little sound. So, I just want to kind of outline some other selling features when you're talking with customers and you've got your catalog open. You know, the adverts that we have in the catalog, this Alltech ad. Alltech is one of the primary vendors that we use for the technology in our supplements. Every single supplement is backed by science. I get a question today. Do you have any research papers on your DAC supplements? The way I go about it is I make sure that every single ingredient that I put into these supplements is backed by science. We only utilize vendors and ingredients that are backed by science. So do the DAC products has research been done? Yes, on the individual ingredients, 100%. Alltech has been around providing these technologies for over 30 years in all species of animal, including horses. So little bit about the DAC mission there, and then our table of contents and the categories. The partners, and these truly are partners. We work with the National Animal Supplement Council. I've said over and over again, the National Animal Supplement Council is a quality control for the end user. So, you know, when folks are trying to compare between supplements and which one should I buy, the very first thing is you need to point out, does the supplement you want to compare to ours carry the NASC seal? Because if it doesn't carry the NASC seal, then that's the first reason why I wouldn't choose it, because that NASC seal has a level of quality control added to it. Furman in the warehouse can tell you about the audits that we go through, where they audit the labels, they audit this catalog, they audit the facility, the best management practices, the safety practices. We've been doing this for as long as we've been a member with of NASC. Performance Horse Nutrition, of which I am one of the PhD nutritionists. There are two of us, myself and Dr. Steve Duran. We work all around the world with all different kinds of horses. DAC is the only supplement company in the United States that we work with. And I think that we have to align ourselves with other clients like DAC that have the same philosophies as us. And what are those philosophies? Education, education, and education, right? They are not afraid of science, and they're not afraid to tell the customer the absolute truth. And that might mean there's not a DAC product that is right for that particular solution. And maybe it's advocating a forage or a pasture or a change in management before it is advocating the sale of a product. And I think that integrity is really, really important. So that's why Performance Horse Nutrition chose to work with DAC. Alltech we mentioned, and then Zinpro is another company that for over 40 years has been developing and researching trace minerals, organic trace minerals. There are two other companies that we work with within the next iteration of the catalog, we'll see, and that's Kemin and Nguyen. And both of those companies, Nguyen brings us the calcite that we put in the colt grower and the cool gut, and Kemin, the Butapearl that is in the Rescue Aid paste and the cool gut. So first page in the catalog when it comes to supplements, we've got the direct action. For me, the direct action is a low-cost basic vitamin and mineral supplement. The one that it competes with the most, where there's a choice of which one do I feed, direct action and the lick tub. Okay, Now, the lick tub does have chelated minerals, and it's got YSAC, and it's got some other benefits that we'll talk to when we get to that page, which the direct action doesn't. But when it comes to which product is the consumer going to use, so if the consumer tells you, I'm really not doing any exercise with my horse, they're more for pleasure for me to look at in the field, and they really don't do anything other than eat grass and let me look at them. Maybe they're retired. Maybe they've been, retired due to an injury or age or whatever. Direct action is going to give them the basics. It's going to give them a balanced vitamin and mineral with no added extras, no yeast, and it's not chelated minerals. So does that mean that this product is not going to be absorbed? No, it will be absorbed, but the benefits are not as great as something like DAC Orange. But again, for a pasture ornament, this is an ideal product. It's a vitamin and mineral supplement. And so as I go through, I will tell you when we get to the end of the vitamin mineral supplements, you are going to choose one of these to feed to the horse. You're not going to cross over any of these. You're not going to feed direct action and the orange, or direct action and the lick tub, or direct action and the colt grower. You're going to choose one, and I'll tell you when we get to the end of the vitamins and minerals, and at that point you can start adding supplements to your program. But right now we're just going to pick one out of this lineup. Orange Superior. Orange Superior for me is probably the most broad-reaching vitamin and mineral supplement. So if I go to a barn and they're like, I don't want to have multiple different vitamin and mineral supplements, which one meets the needs of the majority of the horses in the barn? The DAC Orange Superior is where I'm going to go. We can feed it to performance horses. We can feed it to that maintenance horse. We can feed it to pregnant mares, lactating mares, and give them the vitamins and minerals they need. Now, these are chelated minerals. So now that we're bumping up the level of performance expected, whether that be pregnancy or lactation, or actual riding where the stresses on the animal are higher. So we need to make sure that the body is able to absorb more because they're already stressed. And when we're stressed, our ability to absorb nutrients decreases. So the Orange Superior has chelated or bioavailable trace minerals. It does have some probiotics, some yeast in it. If we have a horse that has some gastrointestinal issues, then I always like to add additional probiotics, but we know that some people are going to feed it by itself without any additional gut health support. So we have a small amount of probiotics in it. It's got the organic selenium, and the feeding rates are clearly listed. 2 scoops a day, as I mentioned, is pretty much the basic amount, and then it moves up from there. Now, all of these are guides based on average hay. If we got a hay test back and the hay was really poor quality, really low nutrient content, then off-label, with the guidance of myself or one of the territory managers, we are probably going to recommend that you feed 4, maybe 5 scoops a day, based on what you are or are not getting out of the pasture. I don't want you just going to randomly recommend that to customers, but if you work with myself or one of the territory managers, that we may be adding more depending on the quality of the hay. Okay, so we're still just picking one out of all of these. The Breeder's Choice Plus. I get a lot of questions about this supplement. People confuse this and the Breeder's Excel all the time. Breeder's Choice Plus, it is a vitamin and mineral supplement that is designed for broodmares and stallions during pregnancy, pre-pregnancy, lactation, during the breeding season. Okay, the Breeder's Excel is a fatty acid supplement. It is not a vitamin mineral supplement at all. So don't confuse these two. Breeder's Choice Plus, when would I recommend this over something like the Orange Superior? I would recommend this if my horse has any difficulty getting pregnant, because it has elevated levels of selenium. You can see the Orange Superior has 13.5 ppms of selenium, and the Breeder's Choice Plus has 20 ppms of selenium, and it also has almost double or more than double the vitamin A. Orange Superior has 138,000 IUs per pound, and the Breeder's Choice Plus has 326,000 IUs per pound. Why are these two important? Selenium and vitamin A are absolutely critical for reproductive function, increasing fertility, maintaining pregnancy. So that would be a note that I would be writing on the Breeder's Choice Plus, highlighting, circling those two differences. Now, one other thing that I'll draw your attention to is the calcium and phosphorus in the Breeder's Choice Plus has been lower. This, in the next iteration of the catalog, the calcium is now 15, minimum, maximum 16, and the phosphorus is 5. So it's right in line with the Orange Superior. One note that you might notice when we make that change, which that change will be made on the next purchase of this product, is the color might slightly change. And I'm letting you know that now because I know that you guys are all smart and you realize that sometimes when you change ingredients, so we're decreasing the carrier and increasing the calcium carbonate. And so when we decrease the carrier and increase the calcium, it's going to slightly change the color. It will 100% not change the palatability. But if you have customers that have been buying it and they get a new one and they ask why, because we bumped up the calcium and phosphorus to make it a better product for our brood mares and stallions. Again, we've still only chosen one product so far to feed our horse. The Colt Grower, designed for the young growing horse. Again, it's a vitamin and mineral supplement, bioavailable trace minerals, organic selenium, a little bit of probiotic, being the yeast sac. It's got some amino acids in it. So you can see the third ingredient is soybean meal. That's going to bring some good quality protein. And then in the second line, you can see dried whey product. Whey and soybean meal are going to bring to the table really good quality sources of protein, like the lysine that you see on the very bottom there. Lysine is the first limiting amino acid. It's really important that horses get enough lysine in their diet. Now, is 2 or 3 ounces of Colt Grower going to give these horses all of the protein that they need, all of the lysine that they need? Absolutely not. But it's part of your feeding program that's going to enhance those amino acids. When do you start feeding it? People are going to start feeding this at 3 months of age. Typically, they're going to feed it until the horse is 2 years of age. At that point, they would move on to something like the DAC Orange or the Total Performance or whatever else they want to choose. Some folks, if their foals are showing signs of growth issues, developmental orthopedic disease, they're going to start them as early as 30 days of age on the Colt Grower. If you have later maturing horses like warm bloods or drafts, you may grow them through 3 years of age on this product because we know that they grow for a lot longer and need the support of the Colt Grower, which is balanced calcium and phosphorus. The Colt Grower is one of the products that we have included the calcite in. The calcite is the honeycomb structured calcium that we've been talking about in webinars before. It's enhanced bioavailability, increases bone density in research done on horses. So 100% backed by science, calcite increases bone density, and we chose to put it in the Colt Grower. So if people are comparing between other supplements for young growing horses and Colt Grower, number 1, NASC logo, number 2, calcite, number 3, critical protein sources, the list goes on. Chelated minerals that their sensitive gut that is still developing can absorb, organic selenium that their gut can absorb, a small amount of probiotics to help, and beneficial bacteria to help that gut which is still developing. Okay. Now we'll move on to the racing formula. The racing formula, and again, still we've only chosen one, is getting into the performance, upper performance. When I say performance, the heavily exercising horses, vitamin and mineral supplements. Now we list crude protein in the guaranteed analysis. That don't be concerned that it's 14%. Again, don't think that your horse is going to get all of the protein that he needs or that he's going to go crazy based on the protein in the racing formula. You're feeding 2 scoops a day. You're feeding 2 ounces a day. So what's 14% of 2 ounces? So I've had that question. Well, will the protein make them crazy, or are they getting all the protein they need by just feeding the racing formula? No, they're not. The other thing that I will enlighten you to is the racing formula is not going to make your horse run faster. There's no calories in this product. Now, why your horse might feel good, conversation I had today with the territory manager, is, if you've taken a horse and they've not been getting all the vitamins and minerals that they need, and they've been getting malnourished, even though they're getting all the calories they need, they haven't been getting the nutrition they need. And then you start feeding them a vitamin and mineral supplement at the correct amount, and they start to get more lively. It's not because that vitamin mineral supplement is giving them energy in the form of calories. It's because they feel good because they're healthy. We feel good when we're healthy. So if you sell a customer DAC Orange or Racing Formula or Total Performance or even the Direct Action, and they come back and say, that made my horse hot, there is absolutely nothing in any of these products that will make your horse hot or give it extra energy. Now, they'll make them healthy and they might feel good, and you might not be used to that with your horse, but there's no calories in it. What else is in the racing formula? Again, the bioavailable trace minerals, the organic selenium. Now we've got these peak level horses that are exercising heavily, and again, they're under stress. When you're under stress, your gut might be breaking down a little, and so you're not able to absorb nutrients. We want to make sure that we're using bioavailable trace minerals, chelated minerals. You can see that notated in the bottom left of the catalog page, the Bioplex trace minerals. They're the chelated minerals. Bioavailable iron sources, that's going to aid with red blood cell production. The organic selenium, which is Cellplex, comes from selenium yeast. And again, the correct levels of vitamins and minerals to support this elevated exercise level. Total Performance and Total Performance Plus, the only deviation between these is the Total Performance Plus has joint supplement built into it. So, if people don't want to be feeding a vitamin mineral supplement and a joint supplement, they want the convenience, then Total Performance Plus is truly a convenience-based product. But the Total Performance sits in the same lane as the racing formula. Chelated minerals, organic selenium, bioavailable iron, some probiotics, and beneficial bacteria. Every single DAC product, minus the direct action, that has vitamin E added to it has 100% natural vitamin E. You can see that in the ingredients list. If you go down, I think it's the 5th line down, you should be able to see my cursor. It says D-alpha tocopherol acetate, source of natural vitamin E. That's exactly how I write it in the ingredients so that it's easy for you to point out. Now, again, it's 3,000 IUs per pound. So how much you're getting out of 1 ounce. You can also see that our labels are set up. All of NASC's partners' labels are set up this way. You'll have the percentage or the ppms in the first column, or the IUs per pound, the universal units, and then in parentheses after it, how much are you going to get out of 1 ounce? Okay, so vitamin E in the Total Performance, you're going to get 187 IUs per 1 ounce. Well, the feeding rate is 2 ounces, so we're looking at a hair under 400 IUs per 2 ounces by feeding the Total Performance. that's significant that you're getting that much vitamin E. Add that with most of these horses will be getting the DAC oil. They're getting a lot of vitamin E, which is really good. Total Performance Plus, as I mentioned, has the joint supplement built in. Glucosamine, MSM, chondroitin sulfate, sodium hyaluronate, which is hyaluronic acid. But I want to point out that in order to get the maintenance dose of the joint support, you need to be feeding at least 3 to 4 ounces per day. At the 2 ounces, the light exercise, you're just giving a small portion and you're not getting the joint support. That would be the reason to feed the Total Performance Plus. So you need to be feeding the 3 to 4 ounces a day. The amount of hyaluronic acid that is necessary to feed per day is 150 milligrams. So you can see in 1 ounce, you're getting 50 milligrams. So in 3 ounces, you're going to get 150 milligrams. Again, we can see that even though this product is not designed, neither of these products are designed to give the horse high amounts of protein, the protein that is coming from these supplements is good quality, soybean and whey, dried whey. The dried whey also enhances palatability. And finally, the Pasture Lick. And as I mentioned, the Pasture Lick and the direct action are the two toss-up. They might sit in the same lane. Everyone else kind of has its own lane. And the Pasture Lick, for me, I recommend this for horses that actually don't get seen every day. Maybe they get seen, but they don't get brought in and fed every day, right? So if they're out in a field and maybe in the back 40 and they're not getting exercise, they're just on adjustment, maybe they have been retired again and they're not being brought in and fed every single day, then the Pasture Lick would be ideal for them. Now the Pasture Lick, as you can see, the first ingredient is molasses. It's quite high in sugars and starches. So no, this is not ideal for a horse that has laminitis or any kind of metabolic issues. But I would hope that you're encouraging your clients that have horses with metabolic issues to take a little bit more care with their nutritional program and monitor closely what they eat every single day and not just give them free rein to lick minerals willy-nilly. So I would not encourage anybody that with a horse that has some kind of sensitivity, injury, to use the Pasture Lick. In those horses, if you're not wanting to feed a supplement that's got all the bells and whistles, then the direct action is the product that you would choose. But if your horse does not currently come in and is not sensitive to sugars and starches, then the Pasture Lick is ideal for them. The difference between this Pasture Lick and many other Pasture Licks or lick supplements for horses is that we did put the yeast and the biomast and the digestive enzymes and the chelated minerals into this product, which is far superior to most other pasture supplements. Okay, so we've chosen one out of that grouping to feed to our horse. Only one, and I'll reiterate that over and over again, only one. Now we're on to the Breeders Excel. Now we can start adding supplements on top of our one vitamin and mineral supplement that we've chosen. The Breeders Excel, as I mentioned, people confuse it with the Breeders Choice Plus, but the Breeders Excel is a fatty acid supplement. It provides the essential omega-3 fatty acid DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, and that is really important for reproductive function, immune function, numerous other functions, but when it comes to reproductive health, semen quality, ovarian function, when you look at semen under the microscope, they have DHA as part of their makeup. So that's why we know DHA is really critical for semen quality and ovarian function. The other part of this product is vitamin E, and it's 100% natural vitamin E, and it's 1,000 IUs per pound. So this feeding rate is quite high. It's 16 ounces or a pound for a 1,000-pound horse. That's for a stallion. For a mare, you're going to do 8 ounces a day, barren mares and pregnant mares. But for stallions, it's a pound a day. And you need to start feeding this 60 days prior to the first intended date of breeding. And that's because we need to affect a total seminal cycle. So these semen are constantly regenerating, and we need to be able to affect a whole cycle in order to correct semen issues. Other horses that I recommend this product to, anyone that has allergies, skin allergies, seasonal allergies. This product is a small pellet. It's not as concentrated in DHA as our DHA Perform, but sometimes if you have people's horses that are a little sensitive to taste and palatability of ingredients, you sometimes have a little more luck getting them to eat the Breeders Excel than the DHA Perform. So Breeders Excel, breeding stallions need to feed it 60 days prior to the intended breeding season. Another product that we could add on top, the DAC oil. We, in all of the webinars, have gone over and over about the benefits to the DAC oil. Every single oil has exactly the same calorie content, be it, vegetable oil, canola oil, rice bran oil, any oil on the market has the same calorie content. But then what else are you getting out of that product? Well, the DAC is a blend of vegetable oils, canola oil based. It does not have any soy oil in it. It's got some wheat germs, some flax, some fish oil, some rice oil. These are going to boost the omega-3 fatty acid profile and decrease the amount of omega-6 fatty acids. It's also got natural vitamin E. It's got 4,000 IUs per pound of natural vitamin E. This is significant. In 1 ounce, which is 1 pump, that's 250 IUs. Now, for maintenance, hair quality, stick your supplements together, people are going to feed between 1 and 4 ounces per day. But if you want significant weight gain, people can feed up to 16 ounces per day. It works out to be about 2 cups, 2 measuring cups per day. It's highly palatable. This is a product that buying in larger quantities is certainly more beneficial. I don't sell this as an elevated DHA or omega-3 fatty acid supplement, but when we've done the comparisons on the amount of DHA and omega-3 fatty acids that are beneficial in the DAC oil, it is far superior to other oils that sell themselves as high omega-3 fatty acid supplements. So, weight gain, coat shine, stick your supplements together, the DAC oil is ideal. Thin horses that we're trying to put weight on, vitamin E is stored in fat. So if you've got a thin horse that you're adding vitamin E to, you definitely want to be adding additional oil so that they can absorb that vitamin E. Common question is, when do I feed bloom compared to oil? Well, you can notice the fat content. Fat content on the DAC oil is 98%. Fat content on the bloom is 32%. That's where the calories are coming from in both of these products. So for pure weight gain, the oil is far more beneficial than the DAC bloom for pure weight gain. The bloom at 32% fat also contains a slew of essential amino acids. We've got lysine and methionine, threonine, phenylalanine. This is all the amino acids that horses need. So the quality of protein in the bloom for top line growth is exceptional. So the other things are the zinc and the biotin. And the zinc and the biotin are going to help with hair quality and hoof quality. Remember, hoof is just hard hair, so anything you feed that's going to fix hair is also going to improve hoof quality. I say when it comes to a horse's hair coat, some horses just have a great hair coat, but it's just a little dull. Those horses need the DHA oil, a couple of pumps of DHA oil, and that's going to really slick them out. Beautiful, shiny hair coat. Other horses, the hair is damaged and brittle and dry on the ends. Those horses need DHA bloom to fix that hair coat because the zinc and the biotin are actually going to fix the hairs themselves, versus the oil is just putting this fatty layer over the hair so that it can reflect the light and make the horse look shiny. Horses with dry skin, oil as well, allergies, oil is a minor benefit. So difference between the oil and the bloom, primary differences, calorie content. Oil, significantly more calories, will put weight on your horse faster. The oil has lots of vitamin E, 4,000 IUs per pound, that the bloom doesn't, but the oil does not have protein in it. None at all. The carbohydrate content on both of these products, the sugars and starches, is very low. In the oil, it's 0. In the bloom, it's very low. So either of these products are ideal for horses that are carbohydrate, sugar, and starch sensitive. Now we're into the gut health supplements. First one, the digestive feed additive, the DDA as we nickname it. What's in this product? Again, we've got a small amount of bioavailable trace minerals, but there's not enough in it to replace feeding a vitamin and mineral supplement. Just like in the DAC orange, there's not enough to replace adding a full-blown, there's not enough probiotics to replace feeding a full-blown gut health supplement. But we know that some people may not be adding a vitamin and mineral supplement. Maybe they're top dressing over their feed that they're feeding, and maybe they're not feeding enough of that feed to get all of the vitamins and minerals. This is going to help somewhat. But when we're looking at making a correct feeding program, the DAC digestive feed additive complements a vitamin and mineral supplement. It does not take the place of one. What's in it? The live cell yeast. The yeast, again, what is that doing? It's stabilizing the acidity in the horse's hindgut, which is produced by bacteria that get out of balance. How might you notice that? Diarrhea, loose manure, more gas than is normal. They would be all signs that those bacteria in the hindgut are out of balance. So the yeast is going to help there. The yeast helps break down fiber. Why? Because it's feeding those good bacteria in the hindgut that are breaking down fiber. We've seen in research studies that when horses can break down that fiber better, those mares are going to lactate better. The growing foals that are nursing from mares that were supplemented with yeast have higher bone densities, higher wither heights. And so that is significant because they're able to absorb and extract more nutrients out of that fiber. The integral is a mold or a mycotoxin binder, and the biomass is going to bind bad bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. All of these improve the immune function. I was just chatting with a gal today that is a user of the DAC products, and she could not do without her DDA, because it's amazing the amount of additional benefits that you see when you add DDA to the program. Hoof quality, hair quality, performance, all increase when you fix the gut. Right? The gut is the engine to the horse. There is a saying, no hoof, no horse. Really, it should be no gut, no horse, because without a gut, it doesn't matter how great your horse's hooves are. They probably won't be great, because the gut is what is driving this horse, the powerhouse of the horse. Now, I want to point out, it's a good time to point out some different things in the ingredients list that folks might pull you up and ask you questions about. Distillers dried grains with solubles. Someone might say, well, I don't want to feed grain to my horse. He's got metabolic issues. Distillers dried grains means that all of the sugars have been extracted out of those grains and used to distill and make alcohol. So very, very low in sugars and starches. And primarily why we use this, it's a great carrier. It's very palatable, and it brings B vitamins to the table. So when you see dried distillers grains, and you always want to they'll always be dried in equine supplements, because when they're wet, they can carry mold. So dried distillers grains. The other thing that this product has in it is beneficial bacteria, all to feed those hindgut bacteria. The digestive feed additive is something that I feel every horse should eat every single day. It's a maintenance part of the diet, just like you eat yogurt every day, or, there's all kinds of different things people do for gut health. But this is something that should be in your program every single day. The Rescue Aid. The Rescue Aid is more concentrated doses of the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. So you can see here we've got 3 billion CFUs versus down here in the digestive feed additive, we've got, this is per ounce and this is per gram. And so there's 32 grams in an ounce. So we've got significantly more Saccharomyces cerevisiae in the Rescue Aid, and we've also got lactic acid bacteria, which are those good bacteria in the gut. So the Rescue Aid is also, it'll be in the new iteration of the catalog, but the Rescue Aid paste, not the powder, but the paste, now also incorporates that Butapearl Z hindgut health ingredient. So when we get to the paste at the end, we'll talk about that a little bit more, but that's for hindgut ulcers or leaky gut. The Rescue Aid powder, this is more of a therapeutic gut health product that we're going to use when horses have diarrhea, etc. The pre-buff, which those that had it on back order should have it now, or it should be in the mail on the way to you, and there's more being made so that you can pick that up. Now, in the new iteration of the catalog, I want you to take your little marker now and scratch out magnesium. We took the magnesium out of this product because we found that the calcite by itself, this new calcium source, has such amazing buffering capacity that with the magnesium and the calcite, it was taking the pH of the stomach way off the charts into a very alkaline state, which is not healthy. We know that when horses are grazing and eating grass, the pH of their stomach sits between a 4 and a 7. And so that's where we aim to have it sit when we feed a supplement. And so we have done research, gone around and around with the University of Kentucky, trialing this, and we decided that the magnesium was not necessary, and the feeding rate is only 30 cc's per day now, because that was all it took to get that pH to sit between a 4 and a 7. Sits right around a 6 if any of you saw the webinar from DAC days. So when do you feed the pre-buff? Pre-buff is something that gives immediate buffering to the stomach. So you're going to feed this immediately prior to any kind of stressful event, be it trailering or our training or the vet coming or the farrier, or we know that there's a change in weather coming. We're going to feed the pre-buff. Now, over the last few days, I've been chatting a lot with folks in the standardbred and thoroughbred industry, and a lot of those, they're not able to feed within 2 hours of race because they'll be out in the paddock and they can't be feeding anything then, or the thoroughbred industry, they're not feeding and not adding any additional supplements the day of the race, so they're doing it the day before. So pre-buff really works within 30 minutes and it's going to last for 4 to 8 hours, so it's really not effective to feed it the night before. If you can feed it within a 2-hour window, then that will work. 30 minutes to an hour prior to exercise or the stressful event is the most effective. So you can take your pen and you can scratch out these feeding directions. And again, in the new catalog, it will be correct. 20 cc's for the young growing horse, 20 cc's for the horse up to 2 years of age, and 30 cc's for the mature horse. Cool Gut. You know, this has been a great product for us over the years. It's designed for the stomach and the hindgut support. The calcite is included in this product as well. The calcite is that honeycomb calcium source. It's got L-glutamine. And I mean, you can, when you're trying to describe the benefits of the products, you know, we've set these catalog pages up so that you can read exactly why each product ingredient is in there. So the L-glutamine helps with the intestinal lining, helps that tissue. You know, we can't use the word healing, but it helps that tissue. Calcite, which is what that should say, calcite, so scratch that out and write calcite. Buffering capacity. Saccharomyces cerevisiae, the yeast, live cell yeast, helps to maintain the hindgut acidity. You know, the calcium is going to work in the stomach, but the yeast sac works in the hindgut. FOS and MOS, two oligosaccharides, we call them, and they're going to bind harmful bacteria, but also build those beneficial bacteria. One of the things with these horses that get colitis or leaky gut or hindgut issues is that the bacterial populations in the hindgut become less diverse. And we've seen in healthy horses and wild horses that have a really healthy hindgut, they have high microbial diversity. So the FOS and the MOS do that. They help build microbial diversity. The DHA helps with inflammation in the intestinal lining. It's that omega-3 fatty acid. Glycine is an amino acid. Now, glycine is going to support the gastric mucosa. So if you think about the stomach, we've talked about the two regions of the stomach, and the glycine and the whey protein concentrate are put in to help the body create the mucus that protects the mucosa on the bottom of the stomach. Okay, this product also now contains the chemin ingredient Butypearl Z. So that Butypearl Z EQ is the zinc encapsulated with butyric acid, and that is going to help hindgut tissue. The research has been exponential looking at hindgut tissue health. And so we added the Butypearl Z to the Cool Gut. I mean, this is an exceptional product now for foregut and hindgut support. Can't say the word ulcers, but y'all know what I mean. As far as the DDA and the Cool Gut, or the DDA and the Pre-Buff, or the DDA and the Rescue Aid, you can add any one of those to any one of the others. You can add the DDA. I feed the DDA every single day, and I add Cool Gut during the show season, or I add the Pre-Buff right before trailering. And then the horse got into the grain room, so I added the Rescue Aid powder. You can add all those. Now, I wouldn't be routinely feeding every single one of them every single day, but you can add them together. Absolutely, you can feed them together, and it doesn't reduce the efficiency of any of them. For palatability across the board with any of the supplements, now these are all very low intake rates. We're looking at 1 or 2 ounces a day. And you know that I put the maximum amount of benefit into every single product. So there's no window dressing in these products. So we're putting all the zinc and all the copper that we know a horse needs, say in the foundation formula for hoof quality. So sometimes the products, if we don't have enough room for a lot of a carrier that's really palatable, they might have a bit of a metallic flavor. Easy thing to do to mask that flavor is either use banana flavored powdered pudding or stevia. Honey, molasses if you're not worried about sugar issues. But there are lots of different things you can use to mask the flavors if your horse decides it doesn't want to eat one of the supplements. Foundation formula. Now, this is our hoof supplement that you need to feed daily. It's not one that you're going to feed every other day or once a month. You feed this daily. It's got bioavailable zinc and copper and methionine and biotin. Now, the combination of those 4 ingredients primarily is what improves hoof quality. We don't want to just feed biotin. We don't want to just feed zinc or just feed copper or just feed methionine. So I'm not advocating that people just go out and buy individual minerals and try and add them. The combination of those together is what makes this a superior product. Okay. The key amount of biotin that a horse needs to consume per day is 20 milligrams, just like horses eating a joint supplement with hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid needs to be fed at 150 milligrams a day. In a hoof supplement, 20 milligrams a day. But let's just say a customer comes and says, my horse doesn't have terrible feet, but they could be a little better. First thing I'm always going to recommend is the DAC digestive feed additive. And I'm going to feed that for a little while and see how the horse responds. And if on top of that, once the horse's gut is functioning 100%, because remember, biotin is a B vitamin, so you get that hindgut functioning properly, those bacteria are going to make biotin. But if after a while, say 30, 60 days, we're not noticing slight changes, now it takes a full 6 months for the hoof to fully grow out, then we would add the foundation formula on top of that. But what makes this hoof supplement superior to others is the combination of those ingredients. And they're all very bioavailable sources. You can see that there are 100% chelates in this product. The Yucca 5-Way. So the Yucca 5-Way pack has Yucca Shittagira extract, which number 1 binds up ammonia, and so you'll see it fed in a lot of diets that are going to increase ammonia production in the urine and feces, so feedlots that are high protein diets. So broodmares should be on this, especially if they're foaling very early in the year, so that we're decreasing the poor quality air in those stalls when those foals are right down on the ground. But we know that there's a secondary benefit to the yucca, and yucca has a mild anti-inflammatory benefit. So if people are looking for some mild anti-inflammatory, maybe they're thinking about doing a joint supplement, but they're not ready to fully commit to a joint supplement, it's a little expensive, the yucca is the first place to look. Now, it does have a significant amount of copper and zinc in it because they are really critical for joint health. So, the feeding rate is 1 scoop a day. Be cautious of feeding 3, 4, 5 scoops a day. I mean, you can get away with it on some of the other, say, digestive health supplements, but when Dr. Durnan and myself write these feeding directions, we really don't want you without advice or consult going way over these feeding directions. And especially with the yucca, because it's got a lot of copper and zinc in it, I don't want people feeding huge amounts. So again, Yucca Shittagira extract for some mild anti-inflammatories, broodmares, and if you're looking for some pain mitigation. Got a little bit of USAC in there, again, because if horses are in pain, perhaps their hindgut is a bit upset. Does the yeast in it take the place of digestive aid? Absolutely not, but it's just helping them utilize this product even more. 100% bioavailable sources of copper, zinc, and manganese. Good one for those young babies as well. If those young babies have some pain, and we're just trying to, growing pains, we see some inflammation in the joint. As long as we don't get a lot of heat and it's not long lasting, then we don't have to be too concerned about developmental orthopedic disease. But we know with young growing horses, they can just get some bumps and lumps and some swelling, and it comes and goes. And the yucca, given that it's got the copper, zinc, and manganese, which is also what's in the CMZ paste, can be really beneficial for those young growing horses. A new product that we came out with last year is the LQHA Plus, and it literally stands for liquid hyaluronic plus a little bit of other stuff. So it's got a small amount of MSM, a small amount of glucosamine N-acetyl. So this is a different type of glucosamine. You'll see on the Optimum Flex Plus page, the glucosamine is either sulfate or HCl. Now the N-acetyl, why we chose this one is because this is a liquid product, and the N-acetyl mixes better in a liquid product. It's not that one is better than the other. It's not that you're getting a superior glucosamine when you're feeding the liquid HA, or that you're getting an inferior glucosamine. It just mixes in a liquid better. Hyaluronic acid in 1 ounce is 200 milligrams. Remember, I said the key minimum amount was 150. We've got a small amount of natural vitamin E as well. Now, I've always been a proponent that I didn't want young horses to feed a lot, to utilize joint supplements, because when you start feeding a joint supplement, the body stops producing those ingredients, the glucosamine, the chondroitin, the hyaluronic acid. And the hyaluronic acid is what forms the lubrication in between the ends of the bones in that joint capsule. That it's the hyaluronic acid that is the lubrication. But I've changed my stance on that, and I think that young horses can really benefit from the liquid hyaluronic acid, because what we're doing when we're exercising these young horses is we're putting stress on that joint, and it's not that the hyaluronic acid is leaking out. And hyaluronic acid is the key ingredient in that synovial fluid. Again, that synovial fluid is that lubrication between the two ends of the bone. But when we stress that horse, we know that stress can thin out that hyaluronic acid, that synovial fluid. So it helps to support the joint when we're stressing them. So hyaluronic acid, the liquid HA, is great for young horses. And absolutely, that in the past, one of the concerns with oral joint supplements was that they were not being absorbed through the intestinal wall, and they weren't making it to the joint where they needed to have their mode of action. That was in the past. New research and new technologies have decreased what we call the molecular size of these ingredients, the glucosamines, the hyaluronic acid, the MSM, the chondroitin, decrease the molecular size so they can pass through the intestinal wall, and they can be carried in the bloodstream to the joint where they're going to carry out their mode of action. And how we know that is numerous research studies have fed oral joint supplements and done joint taps pre and post supplementation, and found significantly elevated levels of glucosamine, hyaluronic acid, chondroitin in the joint after oral supplementation. So today's technology decreases molecular size, and oral joint supplements are 100% effective. So liquid hyaluronic acid for that young horse. When do you feed the Optimum Flex Plus? The Optimum Flex Plus for me is for the older horse that's been diagnosed with some kind of osteoarthritis or joint degeneration, because now we've got a more complete lineup of joint protectants and joint support with the glucosamine and the chondroitin and the MSM and the hyaluronic acid and the copper, manganese, and zinc in chelated forms that are going to support joint function. Now, the LQHA Plus is literally just helping the synovial fluid, but the Optimum Flex Plus is helping the whole joint capsule, cartilage, bone, joint fluid, the whole thing. So the Optimum Flex Plus for me is horses that are older. I'm usually saying 15 and above. Anything younger than that, liquid hyaluronic acid. If you have a horse that's maybe had a real tough life, maybe an off-the-track thoroughbred, maybe they have an earlier onset of joint disease, then absolutely go to the Optimum Flex Plus. Now, we also have folks that are doing joint injections. The joint injections, we have peaks and troughs. We have, when we do the injection, we have a lot of support and then it wanes and we have a trough. And so when you add an oral joint supplement in between those injections, we kind of level out those peaks and troughs so that we have more consistent support. The other thing that's really critical is these products carry the NASC logo. And why that's really critical is joint supplements are the worst for lack of quality control. There was a study done several years ago looking at a veterinarian took a group of different joint supplements on the market and actually had an independent laboratory test them and compare those tests to what the labels said. And very few of those products had what the labels said was supposed to be in that product. Because quality control was not on point, but NASC keeps that quality control where it needs to be. So you can rest assured that if you took a sample of the OptiFlex, what's in it, what your test results show is what you're actually paying for. It's what's written on the label. Now, another thing that I'll point out because we're on this page is labeling. We have active ingredients on the liquid hyaluronic acid and the Optimum Flex, and we have it on several other, the Cool Gut, but we have active ingredients. And what we list here is the actual ingredients that have an active function in the body. Glucosamine, the chondroitin, vitamin C, MSM. And then we have inactive ingredients, and those inactive ingredients in this particular product, it's yeast culture, and it's really just there as a carrier to make it palatable. Why do we set up labels differently? A label that has a guaranteed analysis, we're really in the active ingredients labels here, but a label that has a guaranteed analysis like the Yucca or the Foundation Formula, these are providing nutritional support. So the Foundation Formula is providing zinc, it's providing copper, it's providing methionine and lysine, and these are nutritional these provide nutritional support. So we set those up as a guaranteed analysis. But when we're looking at something like a joint supplement, these provide active ingredients. We're actively supplying glucosamine. Glucosamine offers no nutritional support. There's no copper or zinc in it that's offered to the horse. It is an active ingredient that we're supplying for a particular purpose. And when I write these labels and I put these ingredients in, I have to justify the active function of every ingredient that's listed in that active ingredients list. So now we're on to the DHA Perform, and I touched on this a little earlier, and I did mention that this webinar would go a little longer than our regular webinars. We've got a few more pages to go, but hopefully you're all hanging in there. The DHA Perform is a straight fatty acid supplement. Difference between the DHA Perform and the Breeders Excel is the concentration of DHA in the DHA Perform is higher, and there's no vitamin E in this product. And anyone who's bought this knows it's kind of a flake. It's not pelleted. And the primary source of DHA, it comes from algae. And so it's a marine-based ingredient, and algae is where DHA comes from. And so this is an algae-based supplement. It's set up as an active ingredient as well because DHA is not a nutritional, it's not offering copper or zinc, it's specifically providing DHA. Now, what is DHA used for? Inflammation, heart health, lung health, brain health, immune function, performance. It increases exercise tolerance, increases muscle recovery, increases stamina and endurance, increases reproductive health. So this product can be fed at 2 to 6 ounces per day, whereas the Breeders Excel, you have to feed 16 ounces a day. It's 1 pound a day. That's what you have to feed. The DHA, you can feed in lesser quantities. If you have a picky horse, the DHA can be a little unpalatable. So just bear that in mind when you're purchasing or recommending this product. If I want to recommend DHA, but I'm really nervous about a horse's ability to, if they don't like certain things and they're really picky, I'm probably more inclined to recommend the Breeders Excel. But the DHA Perform is an exceptional product. Allergies as well, seasonal allergies, hives, the DHA Perform is ideal. Horses that get bleeding out of the nose, that equine-induced pulmonary hemorrhage, DHA is ideal. Why? Because it increases the flexibility of the blood vessels so that they don't burst under the pressure of blood that's pumping through them when the horse is going at intense exercise. I mean, it's amazing. When you're just sitting, when you're sitting in your chair and you take your pulse, it's boom, 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 boom. It's slow. But if you go and run and do some fast exercise, your heart rate goes up. Well, not only does your heart rate go up, but you can feel your pulse. It's going faster, but it's pumping harder as well. And so when it's pumping harder, then it's putting a lot more pressure on those vessels in the lungs, and it causes them to burst, and that's why we see blood come out the horse's nose. So the DHA is exceptional for those horses that get bleeding, and there is nothing in this product that will test if you're using it with racehorses. The Herbal Respond. Herbal Respond is a product that people are using for mild anti-inflammatory benefits, mainly because of the Yucca Shitagira extract. It's got some other proprietary herbs in it. Now, I will tell you that Devil's Claw is a banned substance, so if you are competing under a sanctioned event where blood testing is possible, you don't want to have your horse on the Herbal Respond because of the Devil's Claw. But if you've got an older horse that, again, you're not looking to put on a joint supplement, or you just want some pain mitigation, and you don't want them to be on bute every day, then the Herbal Respond can be helpful. The Formula E and Selenium. It's natural vitamin E and organic selenium, and it's 100% organic selenium and 100% natural vitamin E. It's in 1 ounce. We recommend you're going to get 1,250 IUs of natural vitamin E, and you're going to get 2 milligrams of selenium. Now, why I came up with the natural vitamin E product along with this one is sometimes I want to feed significantly more vitamin E, but you can imagine if I was feeding 4,000 IUs of natural vitamin E, we're going to have 2, 4, 6 milligrams of selenium, and we're getting up there at the amount that we shouldn't be feeding. So this is another one that we really don't want to be going off label. We're going to be doing a half to a scoop a day. Horses that have muscle issues, tying up the vitamin E and selenium combination together can be really beneficial. The Formula Calm B. 9 times out of 10, when people ask me for a calming supplement, the first thing I look at is the diet. I balance the diet, and I make sure the gut is healthy, and I make sure there's no muscle pain or skeletal pain. Because most often, behavior is in response to pain. And there are very few horses that really just have a hyper behavior. So most of our horses change their behavior in response to pain. And if we can get to the bottom of the pain, then we can correct their behavior. But in those horses that it is no pain, it is just I'm hyper, I'm excitable, I'm maybe that breed, or I'm hyper fit, then the Formula Calm B is ideal. Magnesium and tryptophan both help with calming. No, it won't test. You need to make sure that you're feeding it prior to the stressful event, because no amount of Calm B or Calm B paste is going to calm a horse down once it's already kind of gone off its rocker. So you need to make sure that you're feeding this prior to the stressful event. The mare leaf, it's a combination of herbs, dong quai, raspberry leaf, chaseberry extract, and magnesium are the key ingredients in this. And primarily the research has been done in menopausal women that these ingredients can help with mood swings and hot flashes. And so the idea behind the mare leaf is just to level out the mare's hormones while she's cycling, so that some mares are just really moody, they're unmanageable during certain parts of their reproductive cycle. So the philosophy behind the mare leaf is that it can level out that behavior during their cycle. Now, it's not going to work for every horse, but it's certainly worth a try if you have a moody mare. The electroaid is a powdered, it comes as a powdered electrolyte as well as a paste, but the benefit to the DAC electrolyte over and above other electrolyte supplements is there's no sugar in it. So when you add a lot of sugar to an electrolyte, it blocks the uptake of those electrolyte salts. So it kind of defeats the purpose, and all it does is drives intake so that the horses want to eat more of it, but it's not really having any effect. The key salts that are in it, the minerals for an electrolyte, potassium, magnesium, sodium, and chloride are what we consider typical table salt. And these are in the correct proportion based on equine sweat. So we've measured equine sweat, we've measured the ratio of these electrolytes, and we've mimicked that in the DAC electroaid. So comparing DAC electroaid to other electrolyte supplements, number 1, NASC, number 2, no sugar, number 3, it's been formulated to mimic equine sweat. Don't put it in the horse's water, because you can't quantify intake when you put it in their water. You want to make sure that horses are getting it daily. Even in the wintertime, if you're exercising horses, you may not be seeing that they're sweating because the air is so dry. So the moisture part of the sweat is evaporating very quickly, but the electrolyte salts are still being lost. And if you don't feed your horse an electrolyte, then you're going to get muscle soreness and muscle stiffness. So it's really important that exercising horses, no matter what the season, are getting an electrolyte. Finally, the DAC-E Natural. The DAC-E Natural, new product that we came out with last year. It's just straight natural vitamin E. It comes from sunflower seeds that are concentrated down. It's an American source. There are 2 sources of natural vitamin E in this world, and we have international sources and domestic sources. And as you have seen with our current world affairs, domestic sources of nutrients and products, we can maintain our own supply chain, and that is the way to go. So this is domestically sourced natural vitamin E. Vitamin E is going to help with muscle, with top line. So people are feeding protein supplements left, right, and center, trying to improve the horse's top line. But more often than not, the horse has got plenty of protein, and they need vitamin E. Horses get vitamin E from fresh green grass. Most of our horses don't eat fresh green grass, and if they do, they're not eating it for 17 hours out of the day, and that's how long they have to eat it in order to eat the 2,000 IUs a day, which would be normal for them. So it helps with muscle function, nerve function, immune function. Older horses need it. Horses that I said earlier, horses that don't have a lot of fat aren't able to store vitamin E. So if you're giving vitamin E, you make sure that you're giving a fat supplement as well, the oil. It's highly concentrated, comes in a 1 pound and a 5 pound bag. Highly concentrated. 1 5-gram scoop is giving you 2,000 IUs a day. Right? You can feed, and 2 scoops, so a 10 grams, would give you 4,000 IUs a day. So you can see we have a lot of vitamin E in the DAC oil, but it's 4,000 IUs per pound. right? So you got to feed a little over 2 measuring cups a day to get 4,000 IUs, or you feed 2 scoops, which is 10 grams of the natural vitamin E. And I've got it listed out here. Horses that are at pasture with no clinical signs of vitamin E deficiency, they'll sway side to side, they'll drag a toe, as I said, uneven top line, or that weak teepee-like hindquarter. Maybe one shoulder or one side of the wither isn't developing. They don't like to go one way versus the other. A lot of these buggy horses will pull one way or another, and they'll really develop their muscle on one side versus the other. So if you have a horse like that, then more often than not, vitamin E will correct it. And finally, our pastes, and we've broken these out in the catalog because I think it's easier to group them together. The CMZ Colt Builder Paste. Now, yes, it is a vitamin and mineral supplement, but you can feed this with the colt grower, right? This is therapeutic. The colt grower, I want you to feed every single day to that young growing horse. The CMZ Colt Builder Paste, which is copper, zinc, and manganese, it's going to be therapeutic doses of those ingredients that are really important for cartilage and bone. You're going to feed, for a horse that's 0 to 3 months of age, half a tube per day. Usually I'm recommending people do it for a week to 2 weeks, and you can see 1 tube a day for horses that are 4 months and older. Usually once the horse reaches 12 to 18 months of age, you're not going to correct any joint issues after that. So it's really critical that you get on top of these issues as early as possible. So anytime a horse might be developing some large joints, or you're worried about developmental orthopedic disease, the CMZ paste. The race booster paste has been replaced with the DHA energy paste. The DHA energy paste we discussed at DHA days is branched chain amino acids, and we're also now adding chromium to it. Chromium has just been released as an FDA approved substance in equine feeds as of March 1st. Yes, other companies were selling it prior to that, but it was highly illegal. And so as of March 1st, chromium is approved. We're putting it in the energy paste. Why would we put it there? Because chromium increases the uptake of glucose. Glucose is an energy source, so the more energy you can get into the muscles, the better performance. Branched chain amino acids are really important for recovery. So that will be the DHA energy paste, and that will replace the race booster paste. The Calm B paste, again, similar to the powder, magnesium and tryptophan as the key ingredients. Nothing in there that will test. 35-gram tube. And you'll notice that our tubes are getting smaller because I personally think that a single serve tube is better, because then we don't have any issues with the cap not getting put on properly, over supplementing, oops, I meant to feed half a tube, but I squeezed in a whole tube. So a lot of our tubes are now going to single serve tubes. Obviously the Colt CMZ paste is different, but single serve tube, and that will be the same for the DHA energy paste. We're working on getting that into a 35-gram tube. The Rescue Aid paste, again, a 30-gram tube, and you can take your little pen and add to the guaranteed analysis the butyric acid. It's going to have in the ingredients list the Butapearl Z. So you'll see butyric acid and zinc proteinate will be listed in the ingredients. So that's for hindgut health. That's to help the tissue between the cells in the hindgut stay together and not open up and let stuff leak out. Probiotic paste is just bacteria, so it's got no yeast, no biomass, it's just bacteria. So if we have antibiotics, we've given our horse antibiotics and we've killed everything, then the probiotic paste is ideal for repopulating. And also the Electro Aid paste, 35-gram tube. You're going to do 1 to 2 tubes per day. And again, sometimes ensuring that your horse is actually getting all the electroaid. Sometimes on competition day, horses have decreased appetite. They don't want to eat, so putting the electrolyte powder on the feed sometimes can decrease intake. I am not going to go through all of the grooming products because we're already at nearly an hour and a half. I want to address the couple of questions that have been typed in. I want to thank everybody for bearing with us. I know this has been a long webinar, and I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording.